Welcome to a Reformer combined Essentials, Intermediate and Advanced class. So today I'm going to follow the Tensegrity 8-part system. Cassie is going to be my client and we hope that you practice this and enjoy it as much as we do. Hello.
Hello.
All right, starting off with our warm-up and mobilization. Taking 2 deep breaths, breathe in, expanding through the ribs, and exhale, taking out all the old air. Breathe in, expand front, side and back of the ribs, and then exhale, engaging your pelvic floor and abdominals. The next time we're going to do a roll down. So inhale, prepare, exhale, head over shoulders, shoulders over ribs, ribs over hips, hips over legs. Really breathing into the back. Sometimes it's nice to just encourage the clients to breathe into the ribs, and as they come up, stacking up the pelvis over the legs, ribs over the hips, shoulders over the ribs, and head over the chest, and tall axial elongation. And again, and making sure that the 3 points of your feet are on the floor, so you're really grounded and connected. You can see Cassie's getting a nice articulation through her spine. Now we're going to stretch out and we take hold of the foot bar and pulling on the bar towards you, bending your left leg and looking under your right armpit. And as you do, you're pulling with your right hand and pushing with your left to really accentuate the stretch through the lats on the right side. Come through a curl in center, and then bend the right leg, turn to look under your left armpit, and then you're pushing with the right and pulling with the left. The push-pull, that dual force, is really important for really engaging the pure stretch in the muscle. And after we've done those two to each side, we come up through center and step in towards the foot bar and do a side bend. So we're bending and we're taking an arm towards the bent leg, really opening up through these ribs here. And we really want the client to breathe in to open up any tightness in the intercostals, so it feels like or sounds like a drum. You don't want it to sound like a smack. And then pulling away and pulling out, stretching out, opening the sits bone so you get a good stretch through your hamstrings and your glutes, and then rolling up, taking a step in, and you side bend to the other side, and we'll see if we can get the drum sound, the drum roll. So you really want to open up those intercostals. Yes, that's the sound, and stretching up the insertions of glute medius. Coming up out of that and uncurling. Now we're going to take her into some shoulder stabilization with some standing single arm work. So we take hold of the strap and holding it with the hand that is closest to the strap, anchoring strongly through the feet and pulling the arm towards the thigh. What we're looking for is that there's no change in the orientation of the shoulders, so the humeral head is sitting nice and central in the joint capsule. You'll find it's very tempting for clients to shift off their center because it is quite hard, this exercise, because you have to anchor yourself into your feet. But Cassie's doing a great job, but she is working her arm muscles, aren't you? Yes. So we can see her pecs do want to take over. You want to keep that space through here. And there's not much movement, but there's a lot of grounding and stabilization happening. Then we turn to the diagonal and face the opposite corner of the reformer. It's like a one-armed chariot. Inhale, prepare, exhale, and pull down. Inhale and exhale. And when I look from behind and I look from the side, and if I come around and look from the front, I should be able to see that Cassie's not moving her pelvis at all. And we can use some hands-on to just allow them to get that around and down feeling so that they're truly working their triceps and their lats. And then we place the strap back on the pole as a transition to our other side. We're going to go into some pelvic stabilization with our reverse abdominals. So you'll place the lower knee just slightly away from the shoulder pads and your thigh onto the shoulder pads. Pelvis is in neutral and our arms are slightly greater than 90 degrees of flexion here. Inhale, prepare, and exhale, take your knees towards your arms, keeping open through the sits bones because it's the deep transversus abdominis that we want to engage here. We're not going into a curl, so our rectus abdominis is not working here. Only our stabilizers. And also we're doing a little bit of hip flexion, of course. 2 more of those. I've got it on 1/2 spring, and 1/2 is actually enough to wake up those abdominals. Remember, this is still part of our warm-up. And then we'll step off the carriage and turn to face it and pick up the strap with the arm closest to the strap and doing our adduction. So the load is on the adduction. We want to make sure there is axial elongation, so clearly lengthening the crown of the head to the ceiling, lifting up through the glutes, the pelvic floor and the abdominals, and anchoring through the feet. Now, if you want to make it more challenging, you would step slightly further away from the strap because that gives you more range of motion, but be warned, it's harder on the shoulders. And always checking that the client isn't pulling in and using their pecs. This is not a pec exercise primarily. So you want to be using your serratus and your rear deltoids. Turning to the opposite corner, you'll see Cassie's pubic bone is facing the upper right side of the reformer as she stands on the left. It takes a little bit of maneuvering to know how far away you can stand because it's not strictly about how many springs you have on, it's about distance. So think back to your anatomy and physiology of your 1st and 2nd class and 3rd class levers. Where is the fulcrum, where is the load, and where is the effort? And 1 more of those. And placing the strap back down onto the mat, and then we come into our supine position, lying down for some spinal articulation. We're going to go into semicircle. Now, with semicircle, I always have the spring that's in the middle loaded. On this reformer, that is a spring with a value of 1, because it's just nice when you're sliding along that you've got this central position that you can know that your spine is in line with. So for today, we're going to just have the feet comfortable at the arch wherever it feels good. And as you've seen, Cassie pushes her body out from underneath the carriage, and you have your elbows slightly bent. She's gone into extension, and so she's sitting down in the well, and her tailbone is connected to the spring. So we're going to start off with no moving the carriage. Inhale, prepare, exhale, pelvic curl up to your bridge position. For the first couple, I'll hold her feet. Then we exhale, extend out to straighten the knees and the hips. Then while you're out there, roll down, articulating until you touch down to the spring. And then you give a spring clean to our springs on the reformer. Make sure you don't get caught in there. And then rolling up as you exhale, inhale, extend, exhale, roll down, inhale, come in. So you'll see on the pelvic curl up and pelvic curl down, I'm getting Cassie to exhale. Then on the extension and the flexion, she will be doing inhale. So here's the exhale, and inhale, come in. And exhale, roll up. But we're going to reverse now, so she's going to inhale, come straight back down. And now she exhales as she pushes out. Inhale, rolls up. Exhale, using the hamstrings to pull her in, because this is where the work is strong on that particular round. And rolling down. And then we go exhale out. Inhale, roll up. And exhale, coming in. Good job. Does it feel nice for the spine? It's a really beautiful mobilization for the spine. Now watch carefully, this is our last one. We roll up, keeping activity in the shoulder stabilizers and using the hamstrings to pull you in. Cassie will roll down. Now to get out of this position, she bends her arms, lifts her tailbone and sort of wiggles her way back up onto the carriage and closing the bed. Now we're going to sit up, sit straight up, and she's going to move back. We're going to go into some shoulder stabilization work further strengthening the shoulders with an exercise called your hourglass. So the best way to do this is to get your SI joints pressed up as close to the shoulder pads as you can, because they're going to help anchor you. And then we hold the hands in, probably get your arms underneath, make sure your arms are underneath the arms are over the springs. And the movement, think of an hourglass is like, goes out like that, but it has a narrow waist. And that's what we want, our waist to be connected, because we're going to go from a C curve. So show us the C curve, Cassie. And then from that C curve, she's going to keep the abdominals and pelvic floor activated and open her sits bones, open the chest to go into an open position. So that's that open hourglass, and she's lifting through the sternum. That's nice. And then exhale, gather it in like you're gathering a bunch of flowers, but you've been poked in the stomach so that you get that scoop in, and keeping the shoulders relaxed. Very much watch that with your clients. And then inhale, exhale, we open, driving down through the scapula, and I say lead with your pinkies. Turn your pinkies on, it will access your lats. Then gather and curl, and it's a very broad range from shoulder to shoulder across that thoracic spine. And then inhale, straighten, up, and exhale, gather it in, scoop it, and you elongate through your hip flexors too. It's a great stretch for them. One more, inhale and open, and exhale, come in. Now just slip the hands so your elbows are back behind you, and we're going into scoops. Inhale, prepare, exhale, and reach your arms. Sometimes it's called offering, so you're reaching forward with your hands and leading back with your elbows. Nothing in your spine moves, it is just shoulder flexion, shoulder extension. You can do this two ways. One is where it is only shoulder flexion and extension, so it's like, say, a steamboat and the elbows don't change. Or you can do it with the offering way, which is the elbows straighten and then you bend to take them back. They're similar, but still different. I like to give clients both, because in this one you can see there is that nice flexion extension at the elbows and the shoulders. And now Cassie, do a couple where you keep the elbows relatively straight and you don't change, like you're scooping up water, that wheel that goes around on a steamboat. Not a steam, yeah, it would be a water boat, houseboat. It's just different, and it's a good proprioceptive exercise for clients to know that they're having to keep one joint still and move the other. And you can feel that through your lats, can't you, and a little bit into the front, into the biceps. Yeah. So two more. Yeah, good. It helps, doesn't it, sitting right up against the shoulder pads. All of you know that you can do scoops in a high kneel. Do you want to just demonstrate that high kneel? So you're kneeling up, can you reach those? I think your teacher might help you. And just bringing it forward. But this is more challenging because you're having to stabilize yourself here. So it's very daunting for clients when I say, these hip bones have to come over the toes. That means you need to lift up through your abdominals more, and then automatically you see that the glutes and hamstrings activate. You can also do this in a low kneel, so sitting down on your heels, so long as people aren't experiencing any pain in their knees. And just dropping through your tail, extending the spine. You just got to be careful with that one. If people are a bit tight in the quads, they will tend to shorten in the lumbar spine and become a bit lordotic. And you can also do it seated on a box. And speaking of the box, we're going to pop Cassie on the box to do some strong hamstring work followed by some abdominal strengthening. So if I was to do scoops, I would sit on the box, straddling it with your legs either side. But for now, we're going to come in from the back of the reformer, lie prone, and go into hamstring curls. You want to get the client to go as far forward as they can. We're going to have to come back to that. And the straps need to be quite short here We're going to place her feet in there. There are two variations with this exercise. One, you put the straps around their feet, and the other around their ankles. And I'll demonstrate both of those, and we'll hear from Cassie what the difference is. So she's going to bring her knees together, and she's going to flex at the knee without moving at the hips. So the aim is to strongly contract the hamstrings. So if you're working on yourself or with clients to rehabilitate after any knee injury or surgery, you need to be strengthening hamstrings and quadriceps, and this is such a good exercise for strengthening your hamstrings. Can you feel them, Cassie?
Oh, yeah.
She agrees. Now the other thing you've got to look at too is that they don't just relax here. You've got to lift up through your abdominals because they're working hard too. And Cassie's keeping her shoulders really relaxed. I find pressing on the edge of the box helps extraordinarily, because if you don't push there, you're tending to lift your shoulders, so it helps with your shoulder stabilization. Now you've got to make sure that you encourage clients to squeeze the adductors. So adductors and hamstrings are working. Let's see what changes for Cassie if we put the straps over her ankles. And now you have to work to keep your ankles, knees and thighs together. And lengthening from the crown of the head to the tail, lengthening to the knees. In fact, it's from your knees to the crown of the head that is one long line.
A little easier.
Feels a bit easier. And also I think it will move, it makes the hamstrings work a little bit more in the bulk in the middle. When it's around your feet, you work harder down towards the insertion point. And it's a great way to feel for your clients. Like I can feel that Cassie's actually working down towards the tendon on her left hamstring stronger than her right. So I'm going to say, can you become a little bit right-footed, please? Yeah, feel that difference? So you get a lot more information. Get your hands on your clients. Help them feel what's right in their body and what needs correcting. So make this your last one. And then we'll help the client get out of there. And then it's a good idea to straddle the box, take hold of the front handle and give your spine a little bit of a stretch. And then you're going to lie down on that the other way. So we're going to lie down to do our curls, no, the same way. So you're here and then you just lie down.
Sorry.
There's so many different ways you can lie down on a box. Or were you correct? No, you're correct. Turn around. I was going on to the different exercise. So you do. We need to be here so we can hook these over the knees. Now you can see there's a short and a long strap. You need to do the long one. It's very unlikely that there are many people you can fit the small one around. And we scoot right to the edge and take the knees up to tabletop. Straps will flick around so your silver bits are facing away more towards your feet. Always have it, I always like to say to the clients, have it so that your toes are visible. You can just see the toes, keeping the ankles and knees together. This is 3 stages of difficulty. The first one is simply a curl up with your hands behind your head. But I always want clients to think of lengthening the distance between the bottom of the cervical spine up to the crown. 3 in this position. Exhale, curl up. We're keeping the legs still here and just moving. So it's like a curl up on the mat from your pre-Pilates mat work. And exhale up. Actually, we might do 4 because when we do rotation, we need even numbers. And exhale, come up. The second degree of difficulty is to add a thoracic rotation. So curl up to the center, then rotate to the left, where you'll need to anchor through the right side. Inhale through center and exhale, rotate to the left. Your clients won't always be as sturdy as Cassie is here, and the legs will move. Be vigilant about keeping them still. And then we do the last one, so you feel the abdominals. I can see Cassie's abdominals working. Then the third one, we lengthen the lever a little bit. So you could do it with straight legs, but I like to get it where the clients have their legs just slightly bent, because we're going to twist the lower body and the upper body. Inhale, prepare, exhale, curl up, and she twists her legs to the opposite way. Inhale through center, exhale, twist. So in the hip joint, you're actually internally rotating and externally rotating one leg. So you're doing a twist like that. And you feel it, don't you? Internal obliques and external obliques working simultaneously to support each other. And hug your knees and let your head hang back over the box, and I will take the legs out. It's just a nice stretch. Make sure when the client has their legs come out of it that you guide them down. And now she's getting actually really nice stretch through the front of the hips. And then reach your arms to the ceiling, Cassie. Inhale, exhale, roll up. So good. I'll lean on here so she can get up. It's pretty hard. All right, so we're going to come into doing some intense work for our glutes here. So I'll take the box off. And we do a standing gluteal series. And you move the foot bar out of the way. Depending on your brand, you'll just have to work out how to get it out of the way, but you do want to stand as close to the carriage as you can. We're going to start with the right foot and placing the foot, the arch of the foot, or just below the toes on the edge of the carriage. First position, hands on hips, and extend the knee. So this is about creating some stabilization in the pelvis, but strength through the lateral stabilizers. Now the things I'd be looking out for are axial elongation, that they're engaging through the glute medius on the supporting leg. So one of the cues that works brilliantly is asking the client to think of their femur moving across to their pubic bone. Immediately you see the glute medius perk up, don't push them over. So we're going to do 4 on each position. The next one is to extend as you roll down. So into a roll down with extension. And just ask them not to keep tension in the neck and then come up. But there's a special way of coming up, isn't there, Cassie? It's sucking yourself up. So you take it out and you roll down. Now scoop it in here, and it's like your nose and knee have a relationship and they're coming together, and then you extend into standing. And curl spine, extend knee. Extend spine, flex knee. They're doing different actions, different joint actions, but they are working synergistically to create stability and mobilization through the leg and the spine and the pelvis. Last one. And exhale. And again, that cue, thigh bone towards pubic bone to engage glute medius. Open through the chest. Now we go into the third one, which is a little challenging. And we can put your hands, we'll do it with your hands behind your head. First movement is to hinge forward. See how Cassie's come off her center of gravity? So her weight is actually directly between the two legs. We'll just demonstrate that part again. So the leg extends, but you can see that her center of gravity has come forward. Now she rotates towards the working leg. No movement through that stability on the side that she's supported with. Unrotate. Go down to your knee as if you're kissing it, and then uncurl out of it. Shoulders drive down towards your hips. Inhale, exhale, extend into, it's like a split stance. Rotate towards the supporting leg, keeping the pelvis still. Unrotate. Go down further and tuck and curl to come up, shoulders down, and shoulder blades glide over your ribs. One more. And extend. Rotate, keeping your nose in line with your sternum. Unrotate, keep that glute medius on the left working. Move towards your knee, kiss it by bringing your knee towards your nose, and uncurl out of it. Now we're only going to do 2 rotating to the other side, because this looks easy, but let us tell you it is not. Extend out, rotate towards the supporting knee. This is more challenging because you haven't got the cross-lateral support. We're going to the supporting side, and tuck and curl and scooping up through here and opening the chest, gliding the shoulder blades down. Inhale, exhale, hinge out, rotate. Now here, it's very tempting for clients to move, so you want to keep that pelvis still. Hold them. Then they go down, and then stacking 1 vertebra at a time until you're standing and elevated up. Good work. Now, you do have another leg to go. So we'll do it again. So we will do the 3, 3, 3. Or 3, 3, 2 for the last 2. Extend the leg out, so maximal idea of thigh bone towards pubic bone. Spreading the 3 points of your feet, your big toe, your little toe, and your heel connected to the floor. Nice axial elongation. Then we go into our curl. Inhale, exhale, spinal roll. Down you go as you extend your legs, releasing through the back of the neck. And then inhale, come in, sucking it up, bringing your knee towards your nose. And exhale, curl down, extend knee. And extend spine and flex knee. Curl spine, extend knee, and extend spine and flex knee. So it's important to know what joint actions you're actually engaging in. Now we go for the third one, which is hinging forward, hands behind your head. Rotate towards the working leg, checking that the pelvis is remaining neutral. Unrotate, then lengthening down and scooping up, stacking 1 vertebra at a time. And 1 more to this side, and hinge forward, rotating, unrotate, suck it in and letting that glute come up. And now we're going to rotate towards the supporting leg, hinging out, rotating towards the leg that's on the floor, which is quite challenging for the obliques and your balance. Just tucking and scooping it up, really lifting up through those abdominals. Last one, shoulders down, hinge forward, rotating, and it gets really tough turning towards your supporting leg. Unrotate, and then down and lifting up off your legs and finishing. Well done. Woo! Now, can you just point to where you feel that? Lots of glute work.
And a fair bit of tummy too.
Yeah, lots of abdominal work. So now, as if she hasn't done enough abdominal work, we're actually going to go on to our endurance section. By doing parallel and rotation. We have it on the one spring, stepping up onto the carriage.
Might need 1.5.
Okay.
And do you want that up?
Yeah, we'll put that up. The higher you can get the foot bar, the least you have to reach. Now, this is quite an advanced exercise. I would expect my clients to be able to do elephant and pyramid. So just do a couple of pyramids, Cassie. So pushing your legs, just a pyramid, just a short one. So just push out and bring it in. So, you know, just an elephant on high heels. You would also expect that they could do up stretch, which is pyramid to plank. So let's do one of those. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, extend out your legs and bring your torso over the bar, activating glutes. So you're in the plank, and then hinge back, open the sits bones to your starting position. Always make sure that your biceps are either side of your ears. So one more of those. Your joint action is extension at the hips and then extension at the shoulder joint, and then coming out of it we flex at the shoulder joint and we flex at the hip joint. So now Cassie's ready to go into our arabesque series, and this one is called parallel and rotation. So with the carriage closed, we bring the leg up and have the inside of the foot just on the inside of the knee, and so it's in the sagittal plane. We're flexed forward. That's an inhale. As we exhale, Cassie's going to push the carriage back and externally rotate her leg to the side in a plank. So it's a one-legged plank. Then inhale, bring the leg in and suck and curl. Extend out. And lots of external rotation and glute work here. And curl. One more. Extend. So we work our glutes and hamstrings and abdominals, shoulder stabilizers. To bring yourself in, you've got to use your hip flexors and abdominals. Then we put both feet down and lift up the other leg. I always try and explain to people that this little arch here is designed to fit just here where the knob of your knee is. It gives people a marker as to where they're going to put their foot. And exhale, suck it in, draw it in, a nice deep curl, and then extend at the shoulder joint and extend at the hip joint. So just like your up stretch, pyramid to plank, but adding a curl, and it's only a single-legged action. She comes in, brings that leg in, and places that one down. And then come down to your knees, and we will take it down to one spring. We're going into that was our endurance. Now we're going into full body integration. We're going to use Cobra for our full body integration. Now, prior to giving your clients Cobra, you would expect that they could do kneeling stretch and down stretch, because both of those exercises are incorporated into this exercise. You start with your elbows bent, but you can see that Cassie still has her thighs and the upper arms parallel to each other, so they are in the same line. She's going to prepare by taking a deep in-breath. As she exhales, she opens up the chest, extends through the hips, and lifts the sternum a little bit. We do 3 ins and outs. So you come in on the inhale and extend, and exhale going out. So the only joint action here is the change here at the shoulder joint. So when we go out, it's shoulder flexion. When we come in, it is shoulder extension. And one more, going out, and you see you have to work your abdominals and your hamstrings and glutes really strongly here. Then she tucks and curls and comes back to her beginning position. So like a cobra that curls up, and now it's going to come out. It will flower up and open up and show us the face. So opening to there, and then 3 repetitions. Inhale up. Exhale down, inhale up, exhale down, inhale up, and exhale curl.
Sorry.
Or 4, or I can't count, I'm not sure which one, and in. If you want to make this more challenging for clients, you reduce the load. We did it on 1 today. If I put it on half a spring, it means that the carriage will go out very quickly and I have to work my core extra hard. So you've worked very hard in that class. Let's finish off with a cool down with some lovely hip flexor stretches and quad stretch. So placing, we might do it up here, show 2 ways. Put your right foot up on the platform and the left foot will come over here to the left shoulder pad. So this is in a complete closed chain position. So the shin stays connected to the foot bar and you push the carriage out. And you want to make sure that the client's keeping their pelvis still, and there'll be a bit of glute activation in the leg at the back, but it's the leg that's going back here that you're getting the stretch. Do you find you're getting much of a stretch there? I find when I'm first introducing this to clients to stretch the hip flexors, this one is better because they can keep their pelvis still because they're anchored through both sides of the knee.
And the shin helps too.
Yeah, keeping the shin there. So, and this makes it easy to go into our next hamstring stretch where you start to straighten the right leg and you don't move the carriage much at all. It's like you're rolling your sits bones up, it's like sending them up and out, and your chest goes down as much as it can, and Cassie should feel the stretch to the lower part of her hamstring and just elongating through the spine so she's not taking any tension in the neck. Each stretch we hold for about 20 to 30 seconds. And then you would come in and place the leg down and swap to the other side. The first thing that clients will do is push out and take the shin away like that. Now that's at more of a split position. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what we're doing here today. We're demonstrating a closed chain, entry-level, safe stretch that keeps your pelvis in neutral. If you did want to maximize the stretch, you could take your right hand off and then rotate away from it. So we're basically increasing the distance between the origin and the insertion of our iliopsoas muscles. And back to the center, and lift your knee away, and the carriage only comes up a tiny bit. You roll your sits bones up, and you're trying to get your chest down. Again for 20 to 30 seconds. And gently coming out of it. And I always like to finish the class with something familiar or similar to the beginning. So we'll go around to the foot bar and just finish with the roll down to see if it feels any different, if there's more fluidity. Inhale, exhale, the head goes over the shoulders, shoulders over the ribs, ribs over the hips, hips over the legs, and just note to yourself, do I go further down with any stiffness in the hamstrings or spine? Inhale there, and then exhale, coming up, stacking the pelvis over the legs, the ribs over the pelvis, shoulders over the ribs, and head over the shoulders. Thank you, Cassie. And we will see you next time.